We're here with Leonard. We're in T-Snow's Post. What's the date today, Dave?
I think it's
18th. 18th? 18th of November. And you were going to give us a little history on the Skinwalker. Your take on things out here as far as what's going on, what has been going on. I mean, it's really obvious, even the time we've spent out here recently, that we've got some activity out there that we can't explain, and some activity that we can't attribute to Sasquatch. I mean, there are things going on beneath the eye here at night. Give us a little history.
Yes, there is really a lot of things going on at night, and we hear the dogs barking, and we usually don't go running out and look to see what the thing is that they're barking at. But back in the old days when I was growing up, I was about 6-7 years old, I was staying with my grandparents. They would tell a lot of stories about things in the night, quote. Anyway, they told me that there's some things out there that can be seen or not seen. So they could either be in an animal form, or maybe a human form, or half human or half animal, that sort of stuff, And also they told me about how when the Spanish conquistadors came up this way, or the cavalry, they used to spy on their camps. The only way they could do that was to change into an animal, so they can sneak into their camp and listen to their plans for the next day, see which way that they would be marching, or if they see in a Navajo village or hiding place, they would go in there and capture these young men and young girls and take them to Mexico to work in the silver mines or gold mines that they had.
So basically, you're telling me at one particular time and juncture that there was an actual working relationship with Skinwalker then. I mean, he was working for the people, for their benefit at one time.
Yes, yes. And then through the years, when everything was normal, after the long walk,
and the long walk being, that was the march to Fort Sumner?
Yes, yes.
And that was 1871?
1868.
1868.
So, and that's when they came back and they settled back in here. And these things are the people that knew how to do these things. I don't know. They tell me that all you need to do is learn one song, and you can change into any animal, whether it's as small as a fox, or as big as an elk or a horse. You could use any one of the skins that you can get into to spy on your neighbor or whoever,
So outside of the western view of the Skinwalker, as far as what's been revealed, typically they take the hide of an animal and they emulate this animal. But also I've heard that they have to eat the parts of a dead person and or sacrifice someone very close to them. Is there a darker art to Skinwalker and perhaps a lighter art?
What I've heard was if you want to practice, to do skinwalking, you would have to sacrifice a loved one, somebody that you really cherish. Could be your parents or grandparents or your family or your kids. You have to sacrifice that person in order for it to work on, to practice this thing.
So I mean, that would be a very dark thing for you to sacrifice a loved one.
Oh yes, yeah. They do it though. They do it.
Obviously.
So if you bought a brand new truck and it's sitting in your yard, they get jealous. Your neighbor could get jealous of you and saying, "Hey, I want that truck too. I want one like that too." So they hire one of these people to put a hex on you. So, say in about within 6 months, you get behind on your payment, or you either lose the truck, or you get into a wreck, or somebody hits it, you know. And then this person that wanted that same type of truck in their yard, they gain what you lose. That's what the older people told me. That's how they work. Or if you have a beautiful wife, you know, and somebody is jealous of it because, hey, I want something like that. I want to be like this person, has a beautiful wife, and people will look up to me and put me above in their community, so that I can be proud of you know what I have. So that's how they work these things. I don't know how they do it, but that's what happens.
Well, so we're talking black magic. I mean, that's what keeps popping up in my head. Not that in my beliefs there's any real white magic either. I mean, it's a real cut and dried thing with me and my beliefs. But this really does just jealousy and petty things like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of times it's jealousy, just pure jealousy.
And more I hear out here too is a medicine man isn't really practicing good medicine anymore. Back when they used to heal with herbs and teas and different smokes and things like that, I think even more and more somebody puts a hex on you and you have to pay them to remove the hex. It's extortion.
I think from my experience, you know, if I got real sick and I go to a medicine man and they remove whatever was put on to me, the medicine man will tell me, oh, they will not, you know, name the person that did it, but they'll say, oh, you know, it's somebody that you know, or somebody in your community did this to you. Because, you know, they'll get in trouble too, because I'll probably go to that person and say, oh, so-and-so said this to you, about you, so you're the one I'm going to come get you. But
so the medicine man has got some ethics like a lawyer, and he doesn't reveal his source.
Right.
Or a good reporter for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds pretty, I don't like it. I know you don't like it either, but we're trying to get to the bottom, and not so much the bottom, the root of what is making these strange things we're seeing out here. And if we can tie in the dog man, which is, I've got several reports on these dog men, if they tie in with a skinwalker, or are these dog men a separate cryptid species yet undiscovered? That's something we need to address. And it's going to take looking at all these different things and put it all together and try to come up with a common denominator involved in this whole genre.
Yeah, like I said, they're everywhere. Even nowadays, you know, even the 7-year-old can become a skinwalker.
How does that happen? How do they get indoctrinated into something like that?
That's what I don't really know, and I've just heard stories that, you know, you can go into a meeting. They have a meeting probably every week or every month, like your PTA meetings, stuff like that. Then that's where they initiate you into their society to start doing bad things to your people or your neighbors.
Are these like sings, or are they like TP meetings, or are they like peyote meetings? What type of?
Mostly it's isolated meetings, and it could be in a cave or in a some place where it's way out in the middle of nowhere, where they won't be surprised by the police or some other people. So
this really is a secret society.
Yes,
that would be involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard, would they have to do a ceremony? Is this part of like a ritual that they do repeatedly to turn into this skinwalker entity?
Yes, when they have a meeting, this I got from different people that I talk to. They tell me that when you go inside a meeting, they lay out different skins and you have to stand behind each one. And while they're singing, that skin will start creeping up on you and dressing you up of whatever skin you were standing behind. Could be, like I said, a fox or maybe an elk or just whatever. And then the headman will say, okay, try that out. Take a run out there a mile and then come back and turn in and see if that's the one you want to be.
And if they transform, are they aware of this? Or is there something that takes them over?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, because it probably does, because of the way they act. You know, they try to imitate whatever height is on them. You know, like if they're an elk. I've seen an elk out here, and you know, there's no elk down in this area, just up on the mountains. That night I saw one out here, and I looked at it, and I just brushed it off, and I thought, oh, okay, they're around here. Probably traveling from that mountain to this one. So
Well, I also understand that there's always something kinky about the animal they're trying to emulate. There's always something just isn't quite right, you know.
right, that's true.
I've heard that
very
time
true.
and
Like
time
I said
again.
about this elk, it looked at me and it turned around, and the back end of it, like it just drug around, like a, how you'd say, it didn't turn like an animal would, you know, on force.
Almost artificially?
Yeah, then this one would just drag its hind quarter back around like that.
That's amazing.
So that's how they do it. Even a horse, you know.
And, you know, years ago with Shut and Amina and Laura and Red and myself, we saw what we thought was a bear running across Rattlesnake in August, 104 degrees. And this particular bear had an extra long neck, smaller ears, and a tail. And it was pushing 600-700 pounds. And it loped like a bear, but I mean, it makes me wonder what it is we really saw. And another thing I've heard also, we had 5 witnesses that day, and I've heard that 3 or more people won't see the same thing. It can only fool so many or put off the montage of what it is to so many people. And
Yes,
5 people
yes,
saw...
that's true, yes. Because I could say, look at that coyote standing out there. Then you know, everybody would look over there, but they probably won't see it.
Probably 2 or 3 people out of 5 would see a coyote, and
Yes.
a couple other people would see something different.
It'll move, but it'll disappear between like a tree or a post, something like that. It'll go behind it. The only thing that will see it is probably a cat and a dog.
And will a cat and a dog see them for what they really are? Possibly.
Possibly, yes, because they'll be barking at it, or you know, the cat will be hissing at it and stuff like that. A lot of times, you know, you can't really see it because they're hiding. They hide behind. I don't know how you would say it. They transform. They disappear and stuff like that.
So in a traditional sense, we're going back again. The skinwalker used to work with the Dene, the people.
Mm-hmm.
They could count on him to go down way back when. This is probably, you know, the cavalry days, the days of the conquistadors. This area that would have been here around, say, 1776.
Mm-hmm.
They used to work with the people. And what do you think made them branch off from working with the people, and it became a dark art in a secret society? Basically, is what's happened here.
Well, I think it's more like clan or, you know, groups of people, you know, they moved around, say, oh, go see what they're going to plan on doing, and maybe they found some better land where they settled down, stuff like that. How did they get all that sheep, or how did they acquire all these other things? Mostly, you know, a value or whatever. So they want to have that too. So
Jealousy.
jealousy, mostly
Petty
jealousy.
things.
Yes.
Petty things.
Leonard, you mentioned your dogs can, dogs in general can see these things where we can't.
Mm-hmm.
When the Biscardi research team was here a few nights ago, do you think those dogs saw something real bad when they ran back into the tent?
Yes. Like those, that one dog in particular with the red eyes and
Yeah. And that was something.
I think that was one of them. So
That was something the crew had never experienced before. Is glowing red eyes in a dog.
So Leonard, would the skinwalker realm be considered somewhat of a form of witchcraft in general?
yes, yeah, mostly witchcraft, jealousy, of everything around them, or not only them. They're usually hired by other people to do a hex on so and so, because of their belongings or what they have, maybe jewelry or whatever they have of value.
Let me ask you this: what would be the benefit of animal form to do these indignities to people, as far as curses and bad things? Is it for the stealth effect, so they can sneak up, sneak in, and get their
Yes,
their mission done?
mostly like for stuff. But if you come face to face with one, they'll probably throw something on you where it would paralyze you momentarily, or a lot of times, they would it would be fatal. But most of the times when they investigate it, it's like an accident, like a car accident,
or a coronary unexplained, a mysterious death.
yes, unexplained death or something like that.
And that
That's
goes
how they
back to the couple by shipwreck under the really mysterious circumstances.
Yes, a lot
and
of
their
times
demise.
it's like that, because, like I said, I don't know how they do it, but they throw something on you, or I don't know what it is.
So another thing too, you were making mention, whereas a person might not be entirely shape-shifted, they might have the animal legs in place at the particular time, and they're out in the daylight. And you
Yes.
mentioned where you've seen them shuffling along, trying to keep the shoes on their feet so they don't fall out of their shoes,
Oh yes,
where they've
yes.
probably got animal legs inside of these shoes.
Yes, I've noticed when I'm in like a swap meet or places like that, or in a mall, where I notice people doing the weird things. Well, not the whole, maybe one individual out of the whole crowd of people, that they kind of act strange, like they're trying to. But you could see that their eyes are glassy and they kind of stare at you, or you could feel it that somebody's watching you. But so those, you have to kind of be careful when you're in a crowd. That's why a lot of times a lot of these older people, like the seniors now, they don't really go among the crowd because of that. They fear something out there.
What happens other than death if a skinwalker blows this powder on you?
That part I don't know, but I've heard people say that it'll like, say you're eating a popcorn and you get this powder thrown on you, and you're eating the popcorn, then you start choking, and then you just fall over, and that's it. Then they rule you that person died of choking.
Now, Leonard, is there any kind of ceremonies that would be used to ward off some of these
Yes.
hexes?
If you think that that powder was put on you, or there's a little what they call bitter medicine that you take as soon as you feel that numbing sensation. If you're in a crowd, you put that in your mouth. So they call it bitter medicine. So I don't know what's in it.
I was talking with some Kiowas, and they carry a medicine bag with them, and they use it to work these things off. And they also use it. One of the witnesses I talked to, in the presence of Sasquatch. I mean, he was 7 years old, and he saw this thing cross the road, stand there, look at the car for a few minutes, and his relatives in the car started digging out medicine bags and throwing powder all over the place, in the presence of Sasquatch even.
Yeah. Even in a house, I've noticed several times that I could smell something rotten. I'd look around and try to sniff it out, and thought maybe something's spoiled over there. I wonder what it is. Maybe an old sandwich or something was put back there. So I look over there and investigate. There's nothing.
Would you ever feel noxious when you'd smell this? Did you feel any?
Yes, I could. It's strong. So I would walk over there, and one time I was sitting here with my cat, and she kept looking at that lamp there with the wolves on it. She kept staring at it, and she would get scared and run off. And when I walked by it, I could smell that something spoiled there. So what I did was I talked to her. I said, "Hey, get out of here. I don't bother you, so don't bother me." So what I did was I burned the cedar. They're really afraid of cedar for some reason when you burn it, and then kind of bless yourself with it. Then it'll go away.
Go ahead.
Or if you feel uneasy in your house, you always burn cedar.
Do you also use sagebrush? Is that?
Yes, that's the same thing. That gets them out of your house or away from you.
Probably, sage has, some natural healing qualities outside of anything metaphysical or spiritual. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think sage has some natural healing qualities, and the smell of burning cedar is very pleasant. In fact, I really like that flavor on my steaks. To tell you the truth, that's probably my favorite steak flavor.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as one particular animal that is emulated that stands out again and again, in my experience, is this dogman type creature. And I've had reports that weren't unpleasant at all. So the other night when we were here all staked out with the team, I heard my daughters who'd come to visit us and her cousin, and they were screaming, and I thought it was just some girls cutting up, or my daughter cutting up, fooling around with her cousin, being silly girls, and come to find out that wasn't the case. Why don't you tell us what happened, Leonard?
Well, the girls came running in here. They were all scared, and Shelby said, "There was somebody over there in the bushes, calling Laura by her name." It said, "Laura, come here, Laura."
And she hasn't lived out here in a year and a half.
I don't think nobody knows her by name like that, So what they did was they ran back to Shelby's house, and they came straight across this way on the other trail, and they came in and told us about it, and it was weird how this thing was calling Laura by her name.
Did they describe a body shape or a body image?
They said it was in the bushes out there, those willows, those little miniature willows, and you could hardly see into that area real good. So, but the dogs, they were quiet too. I don't know why they didn't bark. Maybe it was.
Was this at night? Was this in the darkness?
It was darker than the spot. It was dark.
Probably about 8:30, going 9 o'clock, yeah.
Somewhere around there, yeah. So that's what happened that night, and right away I knew what it was, Strange things like that. The only thing you could think of is skinwalkers or something out of the ordinary, that's out there floating around. So what I did was me, Laura, and Shelby, we drove drove Shelby back to her house, and we came on back in the car. And I tried to look over there, and I couldn't see anything, because it was in the brushes, and I couldn't see in there. So that's incidents like that happen all the time around here,
Oh, this I know. I lived out here for some time, so
yes.
I'm very aware of that. And it's understanding, and basically, I think what I'm trying to pick out of all of this is outside of all the evil entities and the black magic and the witches, and those that are just doing bad things that are up to no good, that don't benefit anybody, and doesn't benefit the Dene, the Navajo, the people. outside of all that, is a cryptid animal that is repeated again and again, that doesn't necessarily cause any trouble, that doesn't necessarily hurt people, that's just been cited. And another thing too, Leonard, and you'll agree with it, because I mean, you and I, the years we've been working together, are very familiar with Sasquatch and his appearance and what he looks like. You know, it's not as if we're going to wrap anything up here. This is just a slight dusting. I mean, really, to get to the core of this. You know, and somewhere in the core of this, Dave and Leonard, I want to find a cryptid animal that exists outside of this black magic, that exists outside of all this evil doing. I want to find a cryptid animal that isn't exactly a human manifestation turned evil or something of that nature. I'm going to find a cryptid animal out of all this, I hope. And that's my hope. And what are your feelings on that, Leonard? I mean, could there be a cryptid animal that isn't necessarily involved in this evil and this petty jealousy? And, I mean, the 7 deadly sins are going on with what's going on with this whole skinwalker genre. I mean, do you think there's a cryptid animal we can pull out of this whole thing? Something undiscovered? Is there one recurring animal that keeps coming up that might not necessarily be involved in this evil?
I don't think so, because like I said, everything nowadays is jealousy, and it'll be hard to find one that's, you know, natural or doing its own thing, but 99% of the time it'll be evil stuff.
What do you think Snake Girl is? Do you think Snake Girl is an actual living, breathing creature outside of the skinwalker genre? That's something that lives in the water holes and lives in the rivers and takes fish and takes prey at water holes? What do you think Snake Girl is? Or the snake type bipedal things that these are? What do you think they are?
Snake Girl could be something like Bigfoot, I think, you know, because it has to live near a water so it can hide, or in a pond, something like that, where Bigfoot, they roam everywhere.
So Leonard, could this still be considered in the skinwalker realm, where there's a shape-shifting element to all this? Or
is it an actual lizard person? Is there an actual lizard person that lives?
It's hard to say with the investigations that's going on nowadays. The answer's out there somewhere right now, because I don't know either. So we need to do our own investigating and see if we can answer a lot of these questions by actually going out among them and see what we can find or run into.
Now, do these entities or creatures, do they leave like evidence of footprints, or have you ever seen any of this stuff?
As far as Snake Girl,
they don't leave footprints or anything. It's just like the Bigfoot thing. You know, they don't leave tracks or anything.
Well, I mean, we do find occasional tracks from Sasquatch.
Yes, occasionally. Yes, you could. It would be their mistake if they leave something, you know, behind.
And I'm sure they've been followed to their camps by leaving tracks. I mean, they're very careful about it. And I found like 2 really good tracks and then nothing, or a track line that just stops. You know, at one point it's probably, oh no, I'm leaving tracks. I'm going to fix this. You know, and you told me they carry a stick with them. They'll brush your tracks out behind them.
If that happens, then you know it's a person thing. If you track maybe a lizard girl or a big coyote that's got big feet, then it disappears and then there's nothing, then that's a transformation right there.
Or I've heard stories of the large type wolf prints all of a sudden turn into human prints.
Yes.
Also, I mean, there's a lot we don't understand, but scientifically, on my part, I'm looking for a flesh and blood living creature outside of the black magic and the evil. And that's going to be a job for us, especially out here. in
yeah.
this dark territory. That's going to be a job to pick these things out and find what's actually real and what's manifested from evil. And that's going to be our challenge. And my hope in the end is we will find a couple of cryptid creatures here that aren't involved in this as far as evil goes.
That's possible, because of all the uranium mines that used to be here. I don't know, there might be some animals that got in there and they got transformed. Somehow, they come out differently. So.
Speaking of uranium mines, I've noticed there's a lot of uranium activity from the past here in the Carrizos, and then look at you
yes,
guys.
A lot of them. There's still some shafts that are still open, and these animals go down in there. And if you or I could go down in there, and we see some of these like rails that they used to push these uranium ore out of there, those irons are still in there, and they're glowing at night.
That's disgusting.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the ponds that are down there, they're glowing.
The water glows at night.
They glow at night.
And
It's dark in there, and you could see it. And these animals probably go in there and they drink out of it. And
these
every day they go in there, and then they're starting to change.
And these workers used to work in all this environment for 4 or 5 days a week, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Uncle Jack telling me back before the road out here got paved, the trucks would be coming by and they'd be hitching right into shiprock, and they'd jump right up on top the big old truck and get on top of the ore, because back in the 40s the government told them it was safe. Uncle Jack's telling me, I was a little kid, and I hooked right in on an ore truck heading into shiprock, and that's horrible. So as far as Sasquatch, what is Sasquatch doing in these old uranium mines? Is he taking shelter there?
Shelter, or they're just moving in there as if they're going to set up housekeeping, and they're being exposed to this uranium.
What kind of effect do you think that has on Sasquatch?
I don't know, same as humans maybe, because they're almost as big as us. And it's hard to say, how uranium affects them. So.
Did any of these workers ever report? Did you ever hear of any reports of a Bigfoot being seen while they would work in these mines?
I probably did, but at the time I was small. During the times they were mining all these mountains here.
And Leonard, you're 69?
Yes.
Okay. So Leonard's been out here a while. I mean, he knows this area very well.
Oh, yes.
We've enjoyed his expertise in tracking, and as I've said, he could track a cricket through a hurricane.
Oh, I believe it.
So, I mean, it's not that we're going to wrap this up here, and we have not yet begun to explore all the avenues and the possibilities that we're facing out here, but I mean, this would just be to get some generalizations out and some general ideas out. I mean, that's all we can do in this amount of time, and we'll take it up later.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Leonard. God bless you. And,
thank you, Leonard.
Thank you for being a part of our team and being so open and honest, and thank you for being such an excellent tracker, and thank you for your wisdom, too. I mean, you've put us in good situations where we haven't gotten into trouble, and I sure appreciate that.
Sure, yeah.
God bless you.
I'm just as much interested in finding what these things really are.
It's all about the truth.
The answers is out there waiting for us. We need to find it.
That's what we're
keep
doing.
at it. Huh.